to Political Platform on Raypower FM, Africa Independent Television, AIT, and the Political Platform YouTube channel. I'm Okiri Agbonsuremi. So glad to have you on the program this Friday morning. And as usual, we have all the reports for you. A flurry of activities in the last 24 hours suggests that pundits may need to revisit their crystal balls to understand what lies ahead. You can never say never. Seyi Makinde has announced his intention to contest for the presidency in the upcoming elections under the banner of the Allied People's Movement, APM. He is joining Governor Bala Mohammed of Bauchi State in using that party to contest for positions. Bala Mohammed is likely to use it to contest for the Senate. However, the FCT Minister Nyesom Wike claims that the alliance between the APM and the faction of the PDP is merely a ruse. If I'm to use his exact words, he said it's political 419. Is the APM serving as a spoiler for the opposition? So many people say some of the political parties are actually out there spoiling, short of saying it is the APC that is using them. In a surprising move, Osifo Stanley, a young man, has invested 100 million to acquire the presidential nomination form of the APC. He joins President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the nomination race for the ruling party. How would that go? Is Osifo a decoy intended to give President Tinubu the appearance or a resemblance or some semblance of facing a competition in the APC primaries? Additionally, the SDP has become the first political party, at least the one that has announced it, to officially submit the name of its presidential candidate, Adewale Adebayo, to the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC. And meanwhile, the legal troubles surrounding the NDC shows no signs of abating. Dr. Umar Ado insists that the party was wrongly registered, and the case in court is giving some members of this party some sleepless nights. And many people have been asking, why do parties that present meaningful opposition to the APC always seem to encounter such challenges? We have all the details of this discussion, our discussion points. We have all the details for you when we begin our analysis and discussions and some high points of the things that have been happening in the last 24 hours. And today, we will focus on Imo State as one of the states we are taking a look at. That is where Hope Uzodinma prepares to leave the position of governor to run for the Senate. And our guest on the program today is Dr. Stanley Emengwara. Dr. Stanley Emengwara is a lawyer, and he will be joining us to examine some of the issues being thrown up as the political parties prepare for primaries across Nigeria. Welcome again to the program, but let me quickly introduce my colleagues here in the studio. Let me begin from my far right, Mustafa Mohammed. Mustafa, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Good morning.
And we also have Amechi Anakwe on the program. Dr. Amechi, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. The young man that is investing 100 million in the purchase of presidential.
Did you watch him on TV yesterday?
Form. I did. Is buying a stake. Recall that some of those that stepped down for the president, and I foresee him stepping down. Those that stepped down for him in 2023, some of them were rewarded with ministerial positions. So he may be thinking along that line.
And when I watched him on AIT yesterday and they were asking him, he said he expects the president to step down for him. If anybody is thinking that he's going to step down, he will not step down. Uju Eje is also on the program. Would you welcome to the program?
Since I saw him, I have been trying to convince myself that he's serious, or trying to find out whether he's actually acting or he is serious. And then you look at him. It doesn't quite...
it's not the first time. He has contested on that PDP before. I mean,
he's serious. He knows what he's buying a stake.
Yes. No. When I say serious, I mean about the presidency. For God's sake, it's not just anybody that can get...
No, it's not just anybody. He's young. He has the capacity. He says he has programs and policies.
In other lines, younger people have that big feed. You talk about Canada, Australia,
France. A young person contesting against the president?
No, that's what we've been advocating. I mean, there are young people. Look at Macron at what age? 30-something, and he's doing very well for France. That's a lot of young people all over the place who are in government. And you look at our blue chip industries and co, manned by very young people. Yeah, but in his own case, let's see what he will get out of it eventually. Even the 100 million naira. Wondering how
no, Dr. Amechi said
came out.
The stick and
very soon you will see his announcement that he's stepping down.
Yes, I'm
certain he will.
But of course, it's a given. It's a given.
All right. We take a break. When we come back on the platform, we go into the details of all the stories we have mentioned. Please don't go away. Stay with us.
New chapter in political discourse. The conversations that matter most are stepping into the spotlight like never before. Political platform, the hard-hitting, no-holds-barred program you have trusted on Raypower Radio is making a powerful move to television. Tune in to Africa Independent Television, AIT, as political platform debuts on your screen, bringing deeper analysis, sharper debates, and the voices shaping our nation's future right into your screens. From policy and politics breakdowns to real-time discussions with key stakeholders, this is more than a program. It is where opinions are tested, truths are uncovered, and the people's voice is heard. Join seasoned hosts and expert guests as they tackle the issues that define our democracy. No filters, no distractions, just real talk. Political platform now on AIT, 9 to 10 a.m. every weekday. Stay informed, stay engaged, be part of the conversation.
Thank you for remaining with us on the platform. This is Political Platform. And let's begin one after the other to examine what happened yesterday. In fact, it started some 3 days ago when we talked about the Bauchi State governor moving to APM. Seyi Makinde did not just move. He said he's going to contest the presidency. This is like what many people didn't expect, that he was going to say, I want to contest the presidency. Since President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is from his own part of the country, they thought, oh, nobody is going to say if he wants to contest.
Basically, Okiria, the governors have two retirement platforms to contest for the presidency when they are finishing a second term, like Yaya Bello and others did. You make a lot of noise, buy cars, brand them, travel around, do rallies, even though you may know that you would not win, or that you try and grab the senatorial seat from the district, you know, whoever is the Senate, you try to make sure that you move out. And of course, looking at the APM himself and Bala Mohammed moving into the party without a national structure, I personally feel it's difficult, though it's not impossible, but it's difficult to you can aspire, but to get that seat from
now you have the APM working with a faction of the PDP, and the reactions from the FCT minister yesterday saying that it's just for one, that they don't know what they are doing. It cannot work. For now, as we are speaking, the PDP is still on oxygen. We don't know if he's going to get out of it because of the Supreme ICU, because of what happened at the Supreme Court. While some parties are still carrying it all about. I think what the faction that the Makinde belonged to decided to do was to say, look, let us move and also carry the carcass of the party along and say we are working together. I don't know how that one works.
Especially since they couldn't find accommodation elsewhere. And, you know, they had to settle for APM. I wasn't really surprised about Makinde's declaring his interest in the presidency, because he had been saying it. Those who are close to him know that he has been eyeing the presidency, but whether he has what it takes to get there is the question now. The PDP is so sad that one of the greatest parties in Africa has come to this level because they failed to tackle the challenges that confronted them at the early stage. And when people were sounding notes of warning, they failed to take heed and to do what was right. Look at where it has landed.
Now, Amici, the APM, a faction of the PDP working together,
And another group of PDP working with APC.
With APC.
Because even Wike's men,
they have never
have gotten nomination funds for APC. So what they have done is we keep this party down and prostrate as far as the 2027 election is concerned.
The initial thought was that Makinde was going to run with Atiku Abubakar, or Anamechi is going to run with Atiku Abubakar in ADC, until they were not able to stay together and they walked away. Now they needed to. Makinde now needed to find himself a platform. Somebody told me this morning that Makinde is not running to be a president just for the sake of it. That what he actually wants to do is to get people who will contest under for the Senate, the House of Representatives, under AP
and governorship,
so that he can continue to be a godfather. It is not a matter of, he knows how difficult
they know what they are doing. They are still hoping that after this election, they will resurrect PDP. But for now, as far as this election is concerned, PDP is out of it. The court cases up to the Supreme Court didn't quite explain what the true situation is. So why one faction, one group is working for the APC, the other one has said they called it an alliance with the APM. But the significant thing is that it was in that same Mapo Hall where Makinde announced his presidential bid that all the opposition leaders gathered. They gathered and said, we will present only one candidate. What I foresee is that the different political parties will pick their candidates. Recall yesterday what Bolaji Abdullahi, ADC spokesperson, told us here, that the possibilities of achieving a sole candidate
is not
for
over.
The opposition is not over. So what you may see as the weeks go by is that they will begin to drop their ambition. That if indeed they agree to come together. So this is the initial step. Get hold of your platform, use it as a negotiating tool, so that at the end of the day, when we come to the larger table, we can use this to say, look at what we are putting on the table.
But are they not likely to come to the same problem of assuming, because at this time the window is closed, they cannot all select a candidate that will run on the platform of a particular party. It means that even if they have their own different ambition, they will subsume it and say, look, this is the person that
just with the alliance.
And you think an Atiku Abubakar will work with Peter Obi in that?
That's the problem they have to resolve.
But it cannot be resolved because we have seen how quickly Peter Obi and Kwankwaso ADC. Now, Atiku Abubakar, who has this ambition, might be looking for who can bring votes for him to make him a running mate, especially from the south, because I don't see an Atiku Abubakar being a running mate for any other person as a vice president. Of course, you also have Muhammad Hayatuddin. We don't know which part of the southern Nigeria he will be looking at to bring a running mate. But you see, the era of coalition began when Tinubu and Buhari put up their differences and came together and pull out the new PDP from the PDP. They built a very strong alliance to win the presidency. But I don't see such strong alliance that can challenge the APC.
I do not see that. I think.
Okay.
I do not see that also. I also do not see a Peter Obi being willing to work with an Atiku. And that would have been the best combination, if you ask me, because if you look at all the others who have declared interest, the former governor of Rivers, Rotimi Amechi, another, I mean, you look in terms of followership, you know the person that has the crowd, you know the
and
person
they did
that
it
has...
before. They did it before now, APC, PDP,
yes.
Where Atiku was the presidential candidate and Peter Obi was the vice presidential candidate. I don't know how it didn't work, whether it is the Obi
was to INEC. So he cannot move again. So it's either he becomes a presidential candidate of APM and will announce an alliance with another party stepping down. He cannot be a vice presidential candidate.
And by that time, the name would have been on the ballot. Because whatever happens, even when you step down, the information that INEC must have had at that time is that you are a presidential candidate. Except officially, you will now come up to say, "Look, I'm stepping down.
You can resign.
Don't vote. Yes. Don't vote for me. Even if you see my name on the ballot, don't vote for me."
And the same goes with P2B and Atiku Abubakar. They can't be on.
No, you cannot come to except.
So that's why the only ticket we are short now, that a ticket and presidential and vice presidential candidacy within the APC, we know the Tinubu is there, who will likely go with Shetima, except some other things happen. You still have that leeway to pick another person. But for NDC, it's now clear that it's between, because they have zoned to the south.
And it takes
so
me to
P2B and most likely one person.
And it takes me to the troubles within the NDC as the Dr. Umadu is not relenting at all. He's shouting on top of his voice that, look, this party was not registered legally. It is going to crumble. You are wasting your time. And that there are certain documents that they were supposed to have filled. They didn't fill that form. It is a court-registered party, and the court will reverse the decision and NDC will crumble.
But do you have any local standing to do that? If he,
it is for the court to decide whether he has local
I thought
standing.
this could have been an INEC issue.
And I've never even revived the matter because the matter has lasted over 3 months that they didn't appeal.
No, so the ADA and Omar Aldo went to court seeking to be registered via court order like NDC did. That was 2 days ago. The court said, we agree with INEC, you're not qualified to be registered.
Exactly. So why is it
for that of the NDC, it was NDC that dragged INEC to court, so only 2 parties. Now, when that happens, when the judgment came, INEC under Professor Mahmoud Yakub decided to obey the High Court judgment to register NDC. Now, INEC has 3 months, just as with every other High Court judgment, to appeal. They didn't appeal.
But they have a right to seek for leave to appeal.
They have a right to seek for leave to appeal. But the thing is that Omar Aldo is not a party to the case. Mustafa is quite right. He's what some lawyers will call some interloper.
A busybody.
A busybody. You're looking for problem where you don't have a stake.
And he's not a member of the party.
So he can appeal. He can appeal the judgment of the High Court that said INEC is right not to register. He can go to Court of Appeal. But for the NDC versus INEC, he has no business whatsoever.
And he has contested several times. He has not won. He shares that with.
Let's look at the challenge. Let us look at the challenge against President Tinubu. Stanley Osifo. We talked about it briefly the last time. Is there any possibility that this is a decoy? Because people have been accusing the president of trying to foster a one-party state. You want to take the ticket alone. You don't want any contest. Is it possible that our young man...
But I suggested a picture of trying to present a democratic, but even within the political, internal democracy.
Okiria, I give it to the president as a very smart and strategic politician. You've not seen him shouting or fighting anybody. And what we have noticed is that people on their own continue to join the president's party. And it's actually...
Are you sure of that? He just sits down in the villa and everybody is plugged. His food soldiers are not doing the job.
And first, those governors that join, first they visit him, and they have a conversation, and then they not join.
You mean they just for their own? They just went to the party.
You see, leadership itself is a strategy. If the president doesn't have the strategy, will attract these people by whatever means to join his party.
Whatever means.
Yes.
I like that choice of words.
There wouldn't be. We've had other presidents in the past who were fighting with governors like Obasanjo, even with who's holding the Lagos local government allocations.
When you said by whatever means, it takes us to the EFCC cases that were pending before some of these governors when they were there, and immediately they run. Like who told us that once you join, is he the Senate president?
Others will shovel and he's denying it.
That when you join the APC, but I saw the video. It's not what kind of denial is that?
But said it was taken out of context.
I don't also take the EFCC thing seriously.
When you join the party, then your sins are forgiven. We have seen governors whose sins are forgiven.
But we were
When
all
they
at
joined
the
the
National
APC.
Assembly as reporters and producers when Nuhu Ribadu, the then chairman of the EFCC, stood inside the gallery and said they have the names of about 22 governors that they were investigating for corrupt activities. What happened after that announcement? A lot of them are there free long after they left.
Okay, let's just quickly take the SDP and then we come to the APC pending primaries. Just yesterday, the primaries for the House
of Reps
was put ahead, but SDP.
No, they were supposed to hold this Friday.
This Friday,
but they shifted it to Saturday.
We'll begin to do analysis of, but let's begin from the SDP. Adewale Adebayo was the presidential candidate of the SDP.
He has always been their presidential candidate.
Past. It's like he's smart, he knows how to get it, and he has the funds to go ahead and get it. SDP actually started negotiating initially with the ADC, those who Peter Obi and all those who were trying to enter into looking for
Raypower moved into SDP,
yes,
and later moved out.
Moved out before they now moved into ADC. So SDP was a bride at some time, but I think Adewale was just keeping his calm, and once all of them, with the wind blew past, he has picked up the ticket.
Was he really keeping his calm?
This is also somebody from the Southwest joining Makinde now in helping to split the vote that
the opposition
will have.
The gentleman has always made his position clear. And if you look, I studied the different policies, pronouncements, manifestos of the different political parties in 2023, and his own was the only one that was different, because the major candidates we are talking about, we will remove subsidy, we would float all of them promised that, but he was different. So I think he has been steady and focused in what he's doing. He ran under SDP, and like you said, this is the first person that his ticket, apart from, okay, the president is not even assured now because there's a young man. So he's the only one that is assured.
Now
let's see what he will
do. Let's talk about what is happening within the APC. The information I got last night, is that particularly flowing from the disqualification in the states House of Assembly, the APC is not smiling. The leaders of the APC, they seem to think that it is who they want to contest that will contest. So if you like, go and pick up the form, and what they have used and what they are using is membership dues to disqualify everybody who so they just tell you, have you paid your membership dues? And you say you have not paid.
But if you haven't paid your membership dues, why would you want to?
But nobody has been paying. So what they are doing now is to issue receipts to the people who they want to contest, give them receipts, backdate them, and tell them you are qualified to contest.
Well, let's hope that the APC will try to avoid the banana peels that the PDP encountered when it was a party, the beautiful bride, when it was a party that in power and everybody wanted to get on to their positions through that platform. You know that the PDP also was, if I may borrow the word, a bit reckless in some instances, trying to wield power. And of course, those who believe that they had the say were trying to do some of the things that the APC is doing right now. You disqualifying people anyhow. Of course, a lot of the godfathers have their candidates already, and then looking for a way, bringing one or two things, and then putting your own candidates. There's always a way with politicians. Bringing your own candidates, push away the others. And eventually the PDP paid for it. Let's hope that the APC would be wiser and know its limits when it comes to imposition, because this is all about imposition. Either way you paint it, make it look democratic, whatever. It is pure imposition.
Amechi, do you think that the postponement of the primaries as a result of this internal?
Yes, they are giving different reasons, logistics, but they needed to put their house in order. I know the biggest challenge for the coalition was to agree on a single candidate. They failed. The biggest challenge for the APC is to manage the many people that ran into the party who met the original people on ground, and we knew that this is the time we'll see the strength of the party when it comes to contest for the ticket. So the problem is beginning to bear. And like you rightly said, that was exactly what APC did in Osun and Ekiti. governorship primaries. The likes of Omishore in Osun State went and got form, but a decision had been taken. They just did the team committees they set up disqualify him. And that was the end. And like Uju said, that they can always find a way to disqualify you. But we know the Electoral Act allows party members to approach the court to challenge actions of the court as regards issue of candidacy, picking candidates. But whether it is justiciable to approach the court on issue of disqualification is what we'll find out. Because the party has the right.
Because one of the things people have been saying, lawyers have been saying, is that internal affairs of the party is not justiciable in the court. But we don't know to what extent.
Absolutely.
Because if you are offended within a political party, you should be able to say, look, I'm offended. But if they say you didn't pay membership dues, that is the reason. Then
but you need to go beyond that. The negative implication.
How many of the people who took their political parties to court have ever come out with something tangible?
Okay, let's go to Imo State. Now, we have a lot to talk about Imo State. Let's quickly talk about Imo State before we begin to expect our guests. We have time running out. Imo State is one of the states where you have what do they call it now? If I say abracadabra, because Hope Uzodinma was the fourth candidate in the elections that brought him to power.
Came fourth in the election.
Came fourth, and then were people started to say, what happened to the pronouncement of the judiciary, that is the Supreme Court, that made him to be. But this man has not finished his 2 terms, and he wants to go to strategically. Some people will say he's seeing the handwriting that if he doesn't contest now, he will be in the law for a very long time. So he wants to contest. Imo State is one state in the picture of some of these things that are also happening. And don't forget that Hope Uzodinma and FCT minister appear to have fallen out of the love. They were deep inside, and a lot of things. Fireworks are going on here and there about. He was removed overnight as chairman of All Progressives Governors Forum. Before you knew, they all came back again. He survived it. He passed a vote of confidence. It's like what Wike did to Bauchi. You know, he promised or he would disorganize, put fire in Bauchi. He was also trying to set the fire in Imo State. How is Imo State
same way there were reports, unconfirmed, that because Hope was the one that dragged or paved the way for Fubara to join APC and was working behind the scene, using his contacts in the Asurok to ensure that he enjoys the full benefits of APC governor. This may have infuriated Wike and all that, and we have seen back and forth. When Akpabio and co altered the Senate rule to make it clear that if you're not a member of the 10th Senate, you will not be contesting for the Senate president. Some people said, okay, we can go have also moved in to check who is hoping to get into the Senate to run for the presidency. So the thing I took out from there was that Babio has done everything the president wanted, even what the president didn't want. He did for him. It wasn't enough to make him realize that when they return in 2027, he will still get the Senate presidency. Because Hope's move and the possible entrance of some other governors into the Senate in 2027 made him became so scared that he had to, using other lawmakers, engineer the change in the rules and all that.
It was right for him to be scared of a man who came forth in the election and became the governor eventually. There was a second position, there was a third position. So if Akpabio is afraid, he has a right to be afraid, because till today, Nigeria has not been able to come up with the mathematics of how he emerged as
the Supreme Court provided the basis for his emergence as the winner.
If you are the Senate president or the Speaker House of Representatives, you only have been lucky to be first among equals. If you change the rules, if an election takes place and these gentlemen come in as former governors, former this and that, they can still put new rules before the election. And even if you are sitting on this seat, they can remove you. There have been banana peels on the floors of the assembly because we've all covered the National Assembly. So many leaders have been removed. And what makes you think you cannot be removed or you cannot be denied in the future leadership tussles in the chamber?
Well, it is a matter of looking strategically to the front, seeing what is possible to be done. Like Hope Uzodinma is looking ahead now, say, look, if I don't contest the Senate now, what happens after the elections? I probably will be in the on the bench.
They may have decided the Senate presidency by the time I'm coming in.
No, in fact, it would have been decided long ago because it would have been like 3 years after.
So he would choose to forgo like 10 months of
10 months of governorship and then contest the Senate. And there's also the challenge that if you are a sitting governor, although we saw so many sitting governors that didn't win the Senate the last time, but the belief is also that if you are a sitting governor, it's easier for you to win the election.
Of course, you have the state apparatus at your disposal.
But about how many of them? About 5 or so of them didn't win the last time.
About 8 of them.
They didn't win it because of the Peter Obi tsunami that blew in around during the elections. They were not able to win. But now, Hope Uzodinma does not want to take a chance. He wants to get into that place. And I don't know what is happening.
He's a fighter. Let him try. He's a fighter. Let him try. And secondly, you see the directives given in the presidential villa that the governors are the leaders of the party in their state, despite the fact that you have the party structure with chairman and state chairman and other officials. That gives a lot of strength to those governors. But the tsunami of Peter Obi, the obedience made a lot of difference in several places. Now, we don't also really know whether that tsunami would still, block some people from achieving their aim.
One thing with these Hope Uzodinma's quest for the Senate presidency, he's not just an ordinary governor. He's the chairman of the Progressive Governors Forum. So if he rises on that crest to get into the Senate. Recall the hold governors have on their National Assembly members. So they will just give them a simple instruction: queue behind him for the Senate presidency. So perhaps those that saw that strategic move decided to counter. Why don't you push him out from that chairmanship of the Progressive Governors Forum? And that was why that turmoil came up within. And before
are you suspecting Wiki?
I'm not suspecting. I'm suspecting everybody. Everybody that is hoping to move into the Senate. So it's a high-wired political game, not just for this election. Politicians, there are some actions they will take in 2027 that they hope to benefit from in 2030.
No, they calculate very well.
Do this, do that, so that by the time we are done with this 2027 election and we'll get to 2031, I'll be in an advantage.
But you see,
politicians calculate several years ahead. If you recall, even the current president, right from when he was governor of Lagos State, he was laying the foundation for the presidency, preparing for the position that he is today. And then again, Hope is also a kind of strategist, somebody you could say dangerous politically. It's not somebody you can just push away.
Let's take our guest, Dr. Stanley Emegwara, a lawyer, is joining us on Zoom. We want to thank you for joining us on the program this morning. Thank you so much, Dr. Stanley Emegwara. Are you hearing us?
Thank you very much. Yeah, you can hear me.
Okay, that's good. Thank you for joining us on the program. Let's take a look at what are you reading? Primaries are coming on. We have screening going on in most of the parties. People are moving from one party to the. What are you reading? Are we really playing the way we should play in Nigeria?
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning, viewers. Good morning, the other guests in the studio there. Like rightly says, primaries are coming up. The game is already on. The system is heated up. To a reasonable extent, I think most of the issues of concern are already adumbrated.
Unfortunately, we are not hearing you very well. It's like, I don't know if there's a TV that is on in that your room that you should put off. If there's if it's network, we're not hearing you very well. You're not sounding so clear. But let's try again. Please continue.
I think it's a network problem because there are no devices on here with me now.
Okay, let's take a break. Let's see what our technicians can do to quickly fix that. We would come back to him as soon as he's come out. We will remain inside the studio here while we are taking a look at some other issues that we promoted about our poor educational system. The educational system in Nigeria is one that we have been talking about all over again. Just recently, the federal government came up with the idea that NCE should be moved up JAMB. And JAMB has been the organization that the government organ that has been superintending over admissions into the universities, colleges of education, and all the other tertiary institutions. And with a poor shortfall of nearly 2,000 teachers in primary schools alone, 200,000 teachers. We are giving you figures from the UBEC now. The deteriorating facilities that we have in public schools and the educational, the kind of poor pay that we have for teachers, it's become a problem. Let's find out if our guest is ready, and then we'll come back to this issue as soon as we finish with him. Dr. Emegwara, can we hear you clearly now?
Yes, from my own end, I think I'm okay.
You are better now. You are better. You are better now. You are better now. So let's hear from you. The question I asked was, the question I asked was for you to throw your analysis on the general picture that we are seeing of politics, primaries, screening, people moving from one party to the other. Is Nigeria democracy the way you think it should be?
Straight on, Nigerian democracy, I don't think is the way it ought to be yet. And a part of the issue, like one of them that I was listening to said, a situation where before you even go into the primaries, there's an anointed aspirant who is deemed to be the person to take the ticket. I think it would have been better if you now decide to tell everybody, don't pick the ticket, we've decided on this, and don't go about wasting your resources. Here in Imo State, I think the party in power through the governor did something like that some time ago, where he encouraged people not to go bringing the resources away, even though they don't have the capacity. I think yesterday they had a stakeholders meeting wherein the governor told them. I think there's one common denominator talking about the party in power now. President Bola Tinubu has taken that position, and I think at the subnational level, the state governor opposed to them has also taken that position. That where consensus does not work, then let the option A4 take place. That is an escape route, in my view, to make sure that as much as possible they don't incur the wrath of the aspirants. So having given that mandate to the leaders, it's now the duty of the leaders of the party, or those who have to conduct the primaries, to ensure that that is followed. If that is followed and somebody obviously sees that I went to the field, I was not able to convince the voters well enough to choose me as their option, the president can when you don't create opportunity people to test the popularity of the you impose and the sabotages left, right, and center.
Yeah, I don't. Yes, unfortunately, the sound is not very clear. But we appreciate you, sir, for joining us. We just do hope that in the course of time we'll be able to take you in to do more analysis. But he made a very. He made the point that you were trying.
The decision taken by at the stakeholders meeting in Imo yesterday that they should resort to option A4A as the method of election for their primaries. It takes us back to
IBB's
elections. Yeah. And I'm just.
But why do you think they?
So that means consensus has failed. They said where consensus has failed, they will go to option A4. So in Imo State tomorrow for the House of Representatives primaries for APC, we are likely going to see some contests. Yes, they are shifted from today till tomorrow.
Today. So we are waiting for option A4? And can we explain option A4 to Gen Zs? Because many young people don't understand the meaning of option A4. It comes in two different forms. The first set of option A4 that we saw was candidates queue behind
voters queue behind your candidate.
Voters queue behind their candidate. But it was later amended to say, look, vote
from ward to,
and then you come and put this thing public so that they know that you have voted. Now, the essence of option A4 is to make it participatory and more transparent, so that people are not prevented or forced to vote candidates that they don't want to vote. Imo State is starting off with that, and we hope that there will be primaries in other areas, because what they thought about, I think it was the member of the House of the National Assembly that came here that told us that, look, where the consensus fails, they will go into primaries. But what we can tell our people today, what we can tell even party members who are not aware, is that if you have not been paying your dues in APC,
you better run
for you, because they are likely to tell you have not been a responsible party man.
A technical knockout of some sort.
And that is very technical, because at the end of the day, I don't think you can go to court to tell the court that you were knocked out because you were not a responsible
I
party.
also hope they don't come up with these legal issues like payment as at when due. You hear this kind of...
Okay, in fact, Amechi reminded me of that just now, that even when you are paying, it should be as at when due.
You can't pay as a lump. That was what happened to Ayola Mishore when APC did their governorship primaries in Osun State. They just disqualified him. He didn't meet the criteria.
He was not
but
paying
the president was weak. You know, trust the president.
That's a very negative
It has a very negative implication, because they should be afraid of protest votes. Those people they are trying to deny have followers, and that may lead so many of them to go and plan anti-party activities. And once they plan that, then some of the golden boys are bound to crash.
A lot of them don't care about protest votes because they have a machinery. Somehow they tend to get away with some of those things, because after everything, after the primaries or the elections, they have a way of bringing themselves together, reaching out to those who are aggrieved, and somehow you see something melting. You see the protests and everything melting, and at the end of the day, they have their way.
Okay.
Because it's either you're with them or you're out in the cold.
Ladies and gentlemen, let us quickly, just before we take our mails, let's take a look at the issue of the educational standard I was talking about. Nigeria's educational standards have become increasingly concerning to so many people, particularly the stakeholders, as the Federal Ministry of Education appears to be lowering the entry requirements. Not just the requirements, with nearly 2,000 shortfalls in primary school education alone.
200,000?
Yeah, 200,000 shortfalls in teachers in primary schools alone, combined with underfunding, poor remuneration, and deteriorating facilities. The public education sector is in dire straits. What should we make of the removal of the NCE from JAMB? Now, before my colleagues will take a look at let me give you some figures. And they are not ones that are really too palatable, considering the fact that we all went through primary schools, we went through secondary schools.
Public primary.
Public, yes. Now, we have, by UBEC pronouncement, I told you just now that we have nearly 200,000. The actual figure is 194,876 qualified teachers are in need. We need them to fill up the spaces. And with teachers manage 55 to 120 pupils per class in Nigeria. I mean, if you have not been to public schools, particularly in the rural areas, you will not understand what we are talking about. When we were in primary and secondary school, we were many, but not 55, not 120. We also have reports that some of the schools are so dilapidating that some students actually study under trees. There's this guy that does videos around Nigeria, and he did in Kogi State. We saw students under some sheds, and when the rain comes, everybody will have to go. And there are so many challenges: underfunding, not enough. When we talk about underfunding, the current budget is predicated on, it had 6.1%. UNESCO standard is between 15 and 20%. The recruitment of teachers, some 18 states didn't recruit any teacher between 2019 and 2024. We are talking about UBEC figures now. It is not our figures. And the impact is telling on showing on the kind of quality of education we have for teachers. Look, why is it that, let me ask you, I have been asking this question, nobody has answered me. Why is it that in the university system, if you have a first class, you are immediately drawn by the school authority?
That was before now.
You are immediately drawn by the university to go and do a master's and a PhD so that you can teach. They will look for the best.
And they give the assistant lecturership a position immediately.
Why is it that we recruit the worst for our primary and
the remuneration is so poor. What the government is trying to cure is they are trying to go behind the problem without resolving it. Now, they discovered that people are not coming up registering for JAM to study education. That means we have shortage of teachers. Now, to solve the problem, they will say, remove JAM. Don't even write JAM. But once you have your O-levels, come. But it has not removed the problem. The problem is like, you just hit the nail on the head. It's not attractive again. When students come on excursion to our establishment here and I address them, how many of you want to be doctors? 20% raise their hand. How many of you want to be lawyers? Another 20%. How many of you want to be... When I ask them, how many of you want to be teachers? They all be looking at me.
Meanwhile, they were escorted to this place
by teachers. So even the young people have understood that if you're a teacher in Nigeria, you'll be in penury. So all they need to do is to make it attractive. The federal government, the Buhari administration, the Tinubu administration has done a lot in trying to increase their salaries, but for the states, for the private schools, they need also to do more so that people will be attracted. Do you know what they go through, teachers, to really eke out a living? So if we make remuneration high, oh, here I can abandon here to go.
In some countries, we know that in some countries, the highest paid public servants are teachers, then followed by medical doctors, even in parts of Africa. Then, secondly, the educational budget, how much is it in most of the states, which also end up not being implemented? A lot of the governors, for example, because the primary schools teaching is under the state governors. The lip service are being paid. Structures will be constructed, celebrated like we just saw in one of the northwestern states. But go back after 2 months. Where are the teaching materials? What kind of training do the teachers? When El-Rufai gave test to the teachers after some training and sack all those who failed. In Borno also they did the same thing.
In Edo, Shomole did the same thing.
Yes. So many people were insulting El-Rufai. They didn't know that El-Rufai did the best for the state. And look at all of us. We went to public schools. All these elites who destroyed the educational system through not implementation of the budget all went to public schools. I can count the Nigerian leaders in the past 40, 45 years, 50, 60, even 70 years, did not go to private schools. But even the teachers in the public schools now, they send their children to private schools. And you see the government officials, not even now, even nursery and primary, some people send their kids to London, Malaysia, United States, because they know that they are stealing the budget from here.
Now, Uju, is it this? Somebody told me that, look, this year affects the women more because we have more women opting to go and teach. I disagree with him when he was telling me. I said, but I agree that yes, there's the tendency for women to want to teach. Is it something that has any feminine thing in it that we are not approaching?
In a way, yes, it's something that you can fully run away from, even though. Yes, even though with time, women have come to accept other kinds of jobs, and even husbands and fathers have come to accept that women can do other things. Basically, A lot of people believe that it is good for the woman to be a teacher. Like my uncle, when I wanted to go to high school, said, look, just go and do teacher training, go to TTC, or go to, and when you come out, you go and do your NCE, so that you go to school and come back by 2 o'clock and take care of your husband and children. They believe that it's something that's more convenient for the woman, because you don't have to stay up till 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, like in the banks, or like in our own kind of profession, where at times you have to sleep over for even 2 days.
All right. We need to go to the citizens' perspectives now. That will get that through our mails, where we hear from you. We take your input. You hear from us. You get back to us. You are on the feed, wherever you are, your own corner of the world. You tell us what you see. You are also the one watching us and reacting. Let's go. Uju, you have the first mail.
Yes, from Steve Omar Ofozo from Lagos. And Steve says, on 1 or 2 tenures to reset Nigeria, the extent to which this Nigeria has presently been destroyed through injustice, tribalism, religious bigotry, as well as nepotism, rests squarely on leadership failures since independence. The hard truth invariably requires that only a sincere restructuring of Nigeria for true federalism to be operational remains the panacea to reshaping the country for genuine peace and unity, progress and development to be restored. The second one is from Victor A.B. from Bayelsa. And Victor says, it's no secret that I'm not a proponent of zoning. For 27 years, we have been focusing on zoning that is clearly not favoring the Nigerian people, but the political elite. I hear people say zoning works in Switzerland, but fail to study the Switzerland democracy to understand that zoning in Switzerland is just ceremonial. We sacrifice competence, integrity, and honesty over tribe, religion, and gender.
Okay, we end with this mail from John Peters in Port Harcourt, Rivers State, and he says, just last month, EFCC operatives invaded my neighborhood around 5 a.m. to arrest a few suspects in one compound, yet they blocked every gate on the street until 7 a.m. Residents heading to work or taking children to school were threatened. One officer openly warned, if you open that gate, you go collect. Now we are hearing of similar operations disrupting activities at the University of Uyo Teaching Hospital in pursuit of a suspect. This raises serious questions about professionalism and rules of engagement. He ends. We hear it quickly.
Yes,
we're just getting a note from one of our listeners and viewers that option A4 is simply open ballot system.
Open ballot system. And we just want to quickly comment on that zoning that guy talked about. That merit, competence, and a lot of things are sacrificed on the altar of just let's go together. But again, if you look at Nigeria the way it is, if we want to look at competence, don't we have competent people every part of Nigeria? Are we going to throw it open, considering the ethnic, the religious, and all these?
I think that's what
that's where the
man,
delicate.
yes, that's what the man was trying to point out. We have competent people from every section of this country, but you see, there are people who are standing out or who have stood out over the years that, if not for zoning, they may emerge better leaders than some others.
All right, we have to go now. Political platform is wrapping up this Friday morning, and when we come back on Monday, we have more for you. Definitely, we also go to the citizens' perspectives to bring out your mails and your ideas. Please keep them coming. And for those who have been angling that this is not the structure, they want to hear the voices of our mail readers, the young girls that read mails for us. We can assure you that next week, on Monday, they will be back and they will have the structure that you have always understood it to be. Thank you for staying with us this long on the program. Let's do it again on Monday. My name is Okiri Agbonsuremi.
Thank you. AIT, sharing the African experience.
You and Your Health is brought to you by Doctors Save a Life Foundation.
Beyond witches and wizards is the root cause of health problem of many in Africa. Seek professional advice concerning that your health. You don't need things to enjoy life. You need life to enjoy things. Give your health professional attention. If you lose money, you lose something. But if you lose your health, you lose everything.
Save a Life Foundation is an NGO with a unique vision of giving total health for all through the power of knowledge. Your health is your strength. Your health is your prosperity. Your health is your life. Give it professional attention. You and Your Health
with Dr. Richard Okoye, now on AIT every Monday.
A very warm welcome to you. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Environment Today on Africa Independent Television. It's your program where we x-ray environmental and public health issues that confront you and I daily. My name is Nkoli Omodu, your regular host of the show.
For most of our history, humans lived in harmony with nature.
But we have shared in the balance, exploiting our planet for product and wealth.
Creating a climate catastrophe, driving species to extinction, and polluting our land, sea, and air. We must go from harming our planet to healing it. We must protect what we have.
AIT, sharing the African experience.
Good morning and welcome to another edition of Moneyline with Nancy on African Independent Television, AIT. I am Nancy Najib. This morning, we begin with a high-stakes meeting that could reshape the global economic and political order, from trade and technology to Taiwan, Iran, energy security, and global supply chains. The summit between U.S. President Donald Trump